back of the pack ultra guy here. We got John Calabrese with us. I'm
Woo!
excited for this. I've kindly stalked him for a while on Instagram, so I just thought, man, he'd be a fun guest. Um,
That's
and
cool.
and we've exchanged messages back and forth, but I'm really excited to dive into his story and just visiting with him the teeny bit we did before starting the recording. I can already tell there's going to be a lot to talk about. So, John, without further ado, I'll turn it over to you. If you could just tell us, kind of where you grew up and how you started finding your way into running and the ultra scene.
Well, it's kind of weird. I feel like getting into running was the easy part. Where I'm at now sucks. It's hard. It's very hard. Especially as my daughter's getting older. When she was younger, just like like when I first started running, it was very easy to manage runs and stuff like that because she has more structure in terms of like nap time, stuff like that. But like as my daughter's doing her own sports now, going to middle school, and she dances, every day of the week basically.
Right on.
And there's some windows I can get runs in that. Oh, and I'm super proud of her. I'm like straight up talking about my running and not her. I'm completely proud of her, but like it is harder to fit in runs and to stay active, and especially coming off an injury. But I started running to basically not even to like do really good or anything like that. I just need something to basically take my mind off of a messy divorce. And like a lot of people, I was just trying to outrun that, and it worked for a long time. But I think what really gets people is like once you get to that point when running stops working for another problem that might come up, like you could get divorced again. That didn't happen to me, but it happens. You could break up with a girlfriend, things of that nature. That's where I think I started struggling. Like once I got to the point where like it just wasn't enough anymore because I had bigger problems, and then also the time management piece. My daughter's getting older. I think once you get like 7, 8 years in, maybe even before that, but that's where I'm at. I've had to kind of retool stuff, and to me, that's the story. I mean, like I could tell you all about like races that I did in the past, but and maybe I'm too hard on myself, but I try not to look at past performance. Like that stuff's gone. Like that, I
Yeah.
was a different person then. The challenge is as you're getting older, like into your mid 40s. I'm 45, and like it's a struggle just to get in runs, let alone a race. Like yeah, if I get some days, I might get a 3 mile run in, and people might look on Strava and be like, whatever, John. But I mean, like that's hard for me to get in, and anybody that has a kid that you're highly involved in your kid's life. I mean, all the kudos in the world, basically for you being able to balance that out. It's tough. It's a tough gig.
No, I agree with you, and I like how you brought up and you were open about finding running through your tough divorce. I had a moment of clarity once. Somebody in passing was like, "Why do you do these ultras?" And it just came out of my mouth. It was probably like a Freudian slip or something, whatever the psychologist called. But I was like, "That's probably childhood trauma."
Yeah.
And she
Well,
was like, "Oh, are you serious?" I was like, "I don't know, probably."
yeah. It's
And
that's
and, and I
definitely
kind of laugh about it now, but I'm like, as I've thought on that moment, I'm like, probably
yeah.
there could be something there. I don't know. I mean, need to go sit and talk with somebody,
The,
but it's
the,
there.
the one I remember the most, like a conversation like that, just a brief one in passing. It was like 5 a.m. My daughter had a dance competition. It was this year actually. My daughter had a dance competition in Richmond, and I was running. I did like something like 10 miles in the hotel treadmill. It sucked, like anything on the treadmill sucks. But like if you do
Yes.
like over 6 miles on there, to me like you're a warrior. But anyway, this like guy saw me in there. I don't know if he was like security or maintenance or like whatever, but he saw me and he was like, "Why do you run so long, so far on the treadmill?" I was like, "I messed up." Yeah, I straight up that it just came out like early in the morning. I
Yeah.
was like, "I messed up. I need it." And like
Yeah.
he was just like, "Yeah." I mean, like it was such an honest exchange because yeah, I mean, like people understand it if you're giving the honesty.
Yeah.
I think people appreciate it, but then also like maybe that guy went on to want to run also. Maybe he knew that he had issues also. Yeah, so I mean,
No.
I hope that would inspire him that kind of honesty that I would give him.
Yeah. I agree, and I like how you bring up the reality of life. My daughter just made the pom team, cheer team, excuse me, and she's like, "Oh, I have to be to school at 6:10," and so I was like, you know, I'm excited for her. I'm extremely proud of her, but now I'm recalculating in my mind. Okay, now I have to get up at 3:45 to make it to the trail. Okay. You know?
Yeah, and I feel you know what's weird? It's so I feel like such an asshole just like thinking about that. You know, because yeah, you're right. You know, you want to be happy for your kid, but then like no, you know that if you want to do the sport you love, you know you're gonna have to make it. You're gonna have to make accommodations, lack of sleep, or like you know, the worst is when you're injured. So like I'm doing all this PT on top of the running too. That shit takes like another hour on top of it. So like
Yes.
it's so overwhelming. Like coming off injury this year has been very difficult, and you know I hope I'm able to finish 100 mile. I had a DNF this recently at Burning River. I got to 50, and I knew I just didn't have the miles to get it done, man. Like at 50, I was just wrecked, and I mean I've finished some ultras this year, some hard ones too, but like you know I've struggled with them, and it's just because I'm coming off of the injury and stuff like that, and I just had it sucks when you know you've got the mental stuff there, you want to get it done, but your body can't do it, you know, like you or you don't have the miles under your belt and you're trying anyway, which you know it kind of sucks because like you know when you're coming off injury you might have that race where you think you got it, things are going well, and you're like this is the time I gotta see if I have it, and then when you don't you're like okay I gotta retool, and it's good to know where you're at for your training and everything like that. You might have to take an L here and there, but it's brutally hard, man. But again,
Yeah.
I'd rather know where I'm at than try to guess later, and just hopefully at some point this year I get 100 finished, at least one finished. But yeah, it is brutal. I think like this year was the eye opener that I need to cross train and do other stuff so I don't get like this again. You know, take care of myself, better care of myself. You know, sleep wise, mentally, hang around people that are good for me. You know, and do the stuff I don't want to do, like the PT and the core and stuff like that. Nobody wants to do it, but then when you're hurt,
No.
yeah, when you're hurt and you can't finish races after a while, or you know you got a hip injury or whatever the case is. I mean, you're out for a while, and when you come back, it sucks, man. Like people you used to run with, you can't run with them anymore because you know you can't keep up.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad we're connecting on this because I've had a few guests that have had many years of running under their belt. And I think this is an interesting topic because it's not talked about a lot. This idea that to stay in the game as long as you've alluded to this many years, you're going to get injured. Your body's going to get stressed out. You're going to have this uh, creeping effect of not cross training. It doesn't happen immediately. It's slow. You know what I mean? Like you don't you don't just start running and then notice it. It would help if you were doing it all along, but at
Mhm.
least for me, in my experience, it crept behind me real slow, and it's catching up to me now. And my coach is like, "Are you doing your mobility routine?" I'm like,
No,
"No." But it's all
absolutely
that
not.
it's all the stuff that's not sexy. You know,
Yeah.
it's the cool stuff is like, yeah, I smashed a 10 miler today with 3,000 feet of gain. It was so sick. You don't really sit out and brag like, yeah, I did the couch stretch for 5 minutes on each side, and I did these leg lifts. You know, that's not the cool stuff that you can brag about. So it's not fun, but I think it's so important because it prolongs your career in the game, so I'm really glad you're touching on that. But
I'll say this. I kind of alluded to it back there also, but when you do get that injury, there's going to be other stuff happening also. It might be, you know, you're not going to be in a good place when it happens, let's just say, you know, so try to prevent that, you know, like more than likely when you're injured, you're going to be shifting through friends also and stuff like that. It's not going to, there's going to be other stuff too. So just like my advice to you know, everyone out there, take care of your body, take care of your mind, and hang around with positive people that are on your side, and, you know, just take care of yourself because like I said, if you're injured, more than likely there's other stuff happening also, and it's not going to be fun.
yeah, I think back to when I was training for some longer events. I would justify this is okay. I'm openly admitting how stupid this is, and this is not medical advice. This is not training advice. This is openly a stupid thing to do. But I would tell myself, I would justify like, yeah, I could hang out with my buddies and stay up late and then get up early for a trail run and maybe log 4 to 3.5 hours of sleep
Oof.
and then get up and do. Because in my mind, I thought, you're going to be killing yourself out there anyway on the trail. You're going to be tired. This is good training. Like you're going to train tired. I look back and I'm like, how dumb, how stupid was that? I,
Yeah.
it was fun hanging out with my friends. We all had a great time. But what are you paying for that now? And honestly, it didn't do anything for for the
No.
race.
And I
So
mean, it might be it might be slow, but it's gonna that check is gonna get cashed sooner or later. And even if it's not like going out and partying or like drinking or whatever, I mean, like there's so many messy habits, like relationships, just people staying up late, keeping you up for like no reason at all, just like that kind of stuff. So like, yeah, I'm trying really hard to get better with the sleep, but I'm like you just said, I mean like. I'm probably one of those like 4.5 hour sleepers just because I got so much going on during the day and then just like kid stuff like tonight for instance I'm probably not gonna get home till midnight because like my routine today was just crazy like I was just doing stuff with my kid and then like I said I went to that information session. I'm here now and now once I'm done I'm gonna go home and like probably get like 4 hours but yeah that's just how I've been doing it. I really have to reprioritize sleep more than anything. I mean, on top of the, like I said, the PT and everything, but it is so hard to fit all that stuff in. I'm not great at it. I'm trying, but single dad,
yeah,
trying to run ultras. You're gonna have to sacrifice here and there.
I like what you said. It's not necessarily like the habits you think of, right? Drinking, partying. There's other little habits like I've got a nasty energy drink habit. Like I could log 3 monsters, and I'm like, yeah, it's just I'm fine. And it's like like you said, that check's gonna bounce one day, and it bounces hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
So
know what? What I used to do, I'm trying to get better with this too. So this is definitely part of my sleep issues. I drink so much coffee, like, and a lot of it was just to like for ultras staying up or like just to do runs, just anything. I was just using coffee. I don't drink. The main thing I just do is caffeine and just my diet's pretty bad, but it's not the worst. The caffeine intake's really bad though, and I've cleaned up some stuff. Like oh my gosh, I used to take like 5 hour energy all the time on ultras, just like that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Red Bull, whatever. I don't do any of that stuff anymore, but I'm so bad with coffee. Like I've tried to clean it up, but again, just with the lack of sleep, you find yourself in that pattern where you need it.
I agree, and I'm definitely preaching to the choir of myself on this one. It's something I definitely struggle with, and I know a ton of other people do. And it's just so easy to grab something quick. You feel tired, you grab something quick, or driving home from an early trail run, you justify it. You're like, yeah, I got to get to work. I'm just going to smash this extremely toxic beverage so I can feel alive or rejuvenated, but it's not helping at all. So, John, let's dive in a little bit. You start running. Some life circumstances kind of push you into running. Um, what did that look like as far as did you find a running group, or was it a buddy that you started running with? Was it just you by yourself? What did that look like?
So this is like one of the things I'm trying to tap into now. I don't know where I got this motivation other than I had to do something to get my mind off the divorce. It was costly, it was toxic, and like it was really wrecking my just my everything. So like I always liked running. I never had the discipline to do it, but like I just got to a point where like I think my body just knew like, hey, this could be something that you could use to kind of like get into like a meditative state, kind of like on your long run or whatever. Like I think I was just drawn to it, like just to kind of like again, not to like try to like crush races or anything like that, but just to kind of like just for my mental health. And I ran by myself for the like I trained for my first marathon completely by myself, no run club, no anything, and it was awesome. I was just listening to music, didn't really even use a watch. Like I didn't care about pace. It was really therapeutic, and yeah, I kind of regret. This is gonna sound bad, but I kind of regret joining run clubs like later on, and even having like a watch and Strava. Like I feel like once you once you get to that like that once you cross that that river, basically it's hard to come back from. Like especially with social media and stuff now. But I mean when I started training for my first marathon, it was 2017 before COVID and stuff like that. So different world also. I mean, like
Mm.
I feel like the running community was a little bit more pure then too. So like Yeah, I kind of regret not being able to have the motivation to do that stuff without like a run club or just like, I've been running a lot by myself now. I mean, I do a lot of races also, but yeah, I've been running by myself a lot now, but I still use like the watch, and it's just kind of like it's not as freeing as before. I would say, I think I wish I could tap into that motivation I had when I first ran. That sounds crazy, but yeah, I loved it. I mean, it was just such a good experience. Like I feel like you're like a junkie trying to like reach that first high again. It's so bad and so wrong saying it, but I feel that's the truth. Like I loved it so much training for my first marathon.
No, I agree with you, and I think that's also speaks to how long you've been in the game,
Mm.
because I can remember, at least for me, when I first got into it, it was just like nothing would stop me. I'm like, there was no excuse. If it was like I didn't get the run in that day, I was out at like 10 o'clock getting the run in.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's where I was. And I like did a few races and then started to do some bigger ones. And it was like I'm a Sylvester Stallone Rocky movie kind of nut. But that when he loses to Mr. T and he loses all of his motivation, I
yeah,
felt like that's where I was. I was like, it turned from motivation to discipline. Where like you said, that high is gone, that driving force, the eye of the tiger. Don't sue me, Sylvester Stallone, but the eye of the tiger was gone, and it was like, oh, you just do it. Oh, okay. Even though I don't want to, and I don't feel like I want to now, I still have to do it because I was signed up for a race, and I was like, I don't. I've told everyone I'm going to do this. I got to, got to train.
yeah.
But I really feel that now, and so I'm glad you're bringing it up in this light because I think that a lot of people who have been in the game. I mean, I haven't been in it, 20 years, but I've been in it long enough where I've lost that initial spark, and maybe I'm trying to find it. Like you said, you're trying to chase that dragon, you chase that feeling, but it turns, at least for me, it turned into more like, no, you're just going to do it. I know you don't want to, self, but you're going to do it. And I never regret it. I never get done and go, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done. I'm never doing that again. I always go, God, that felt so good. But so I really feel that when you touched on that, because exactly how I felt, this idea that you do it now because you have to. So
It's
uh, I wanted to, before you jump back in, can you tell me a little bit about that first marathon? Which one was it? Where was it?
I did the Newport News One City Marathon.
Nice.
It was fun. I mean, like my daughter was there, my mom was there. Yeah, it was a great experience. It was cold. It was one of the colder marathons I've ever done. It just happened to be really cold for that marathon. Um, but yeah, it was really fun. It was a good experience, and yeah, it's crazy. From my understanding, most runners do the sport for 7 years. That's my understanding. I could be
Hmm.
completely off on it, but that's what I've heard. That's what people have told me. So I think I'm on 8. I mean, like you said, I haven't done it for 20 years, but like or anything like that. But like I guess there's some big races I want to do, and there's financial barriers to doing that, and then also even harder for me, like managing the time away from my daughter, like if or work or whatever, like during the week to it's hard to go across the country and do a race that starts on a weekday. That's like really hard for a lot of people, and all the logistical barriers with financial stuff. That's a really hard thing. I think this is gonna sound bad, but like I mean I've done a lot of races and I want to do a lot more, but I'm at that point where like I think I have more respect for the people that just don't do races at all. They just have the discipline to just go out there like I used to. And even better, like I was training for a marathon. Like I wish I had the kind of discipline just to go out there and run without any race or anything attached to it. Like I don't need a race to be able to go out and enjoy myself and run. I wish I could be that guy. I know there's people out there like that, but yeah, those are the people I respect. I don't know how they do it. Like I feel like I have to have like a hard race to keep me accountable. And I've always been that way to kind of really like running. Other than that, I just kind of feel rudderless without like that that quest that that keeping me on track that I have to train for and prep for. But yeah, I wish I could be one of those dudes that just go out there and just hammer out a run just to run it. I
Yeah.
don't. Weird thing too. I don't really know many people like that. Everyone's always training for some kind of race, and yeah, maybe I need to like, maybe I need to find a group of people that are like the raceless wonders or something. Are those people out there? I'd like to meet them.
That sounds like a great name for a run club, actually, John. The Raceless
Well,
Wonders.
it's weird though because I feel like it just be me. Like I like at least like the local run clubs around here, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm training for Hard Rock," or like I'm going to
Yeah,
be at the Boston Marathon. I feel like it's kind of like for prestige. I mean, maybe I'm being a jerk saying that, but I feel that and I do it myself. Everyone does it. Like I'm doing this race or whatever. I mean, I don't mean to be like rubbing in or anything like that, but I think people just do it. They just runners want to they want to post about a race they're doing or whatever, but. Yeah, I think the real reward is just the running in itself and not getting injured, not being able to run because that's the worst. Like a lot of this year, I just couldn't. I flat out couldn't run. Like if you look at my Strava for this year, I have weeks where I just did not run. I had to freaking swim or like bike or something like that, and I don't want to do that stuff. I'd rather be. I get mad at myself for not being getting myself in a situation where I can't run because I was chasing something or just like doing too much, doing too many races. Yeah, part of me just wishes I had the discipline just to be able to run and be okay with that.
yeah. I think back to a guest I had. I've known him for a while. His name's Henry Ward. And in the podcast, I said, "Hey, what do you have next in the books?" He goes, "Nothing."
That's awesome.
And he's just always out. He's a local guide here in the Phoenix area that people who come from out of town, they pay this company, and he's a tour guide and takes them around the different places and trails in Phoenix and around Phoenix, around sunset. And he was just he spoke about running like he's transcended this idea of having to have a race, where he just gets out there because he really enjoys it, and nothing's really pushing him outside of his just appreciation for the outdoors and his love of just moving. And I kind of thought a lot about that, and I'm thinking about it now that you're talking about it. And you really don't meet too many people that just go, "I got nothing on the books. I'm just cruising. I just
No.
enjoy it."
And you know what? I think that's one of the things like that has really turned me off to the run clubs lately. Just because like like I never hear people that just talk like that guy you just explained. Like never hear that. It's just like yeah, I'm running this race, I'm running that race, and like you just or whatever the case is. But yeah, I mean like yeah, nobody just runs, and I feel like somehow like I think we need to somehow try to normalize that. I want to hear more people just running. I think that's
Yeah.
amazing. It's so dumb too. You're like, I feel like just silly saying that. Like, yeah, it's awesome that you just run.
Well, it's interesting because there are some cultures. I've had the privilege to interview a guy who lives up on the Navajo reservation, Greg Sacatero, and visiting with him, it's within their culture. It's almost like a prayer. And then I met another guy. He's the race director for the Canyon de Chelly Ultramarathon, and he just runs, and he just up there in Chinle on the reservation, and it's just kind of a part of their culture of prayer and meditation. And he talks about running in a certain direction to get in touch with the gods. Or sorry, Sean, I'm totally butchering your speech that you gave at the beginning of at the race, but it's more of a form of meditation and prayer versus, oh yeah, I'm going to do the Monster 300 next year, or whatever race. It's more of just getting in touch with nature and getting in touch with a higher power. It really spoke to me because I was like, oh, that's not why I'm doing it. Like, oh, am I doing it wrong?
Well, you know what? I think I was like, so I live on a farm, and I've got like really cool like places to run all around it. And yeah, I mean like. I think I was onto that, kind of like, but I was clouded by just using, doing it, just prepping to do the marathon. I think I was onto that because I loved running around the farm and everything like that. But just it was just for like for that purpose. But when I really liked to do it, and I didn't identify that early on. I mean, I knew I liked doing it, but I was like, oh, I got to do this race because I think part of it is just I wanted to see other places, and a race meets that requirement. Like if you want to run in a certain area, there's aid stations and stuff like that. And but yeah, I think just hundreds of maybe not hundred, well maybe hundred. I don't keep track of the races I've done. I know some people have like a number. They have bumper stickers on their car and stuff like that. I will. This is a bad thing too. I've always chased that high. Like I was saying, like I always wanted to go to the next one. didn't really put that much thought. I mean, I started writing race reports a little bit a couple years back, and I think that's helped to reflect on the race and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would hope that eventually I get to the point where I can just like release from races, even for like a year. It's just like, and if I want to go back to races after that, I think that would be like an amazing goal for me anyway, because I was, an alcoholic. Oh, I am an alcoholic, basically, and it took me a long time to quit that. And maybe in some ways, I probably just replaced, that habit for running. And maybe I'm going about it all wrong, looking at it like that, just chasing a high and, trying to chase a lot of races and stuff like that when I could be
Yeah,
enjoying it.
I've interviewed and have a few acquaintances that um, have found running and exercise through recovery.
Mhm.
And I think just, again, I'm not a medical practitioner or some type of psychologist, but just listening to them talk about it, it seems like an incredibly healthy outlet
Yeah.
for the trauma that we're all going through in life, that some of us have used alcohol or drugs or whatever it is to help compensate for that trauma. I would imagine running or this form of endurance sport is a lot healthier than that.
Oh yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
and so I don't think it's a detriment, but I do see where you're coming from, where you go, am I just replacing that with something else? And is that healthy? I don't know. I have a very addictive personality. I think that also lends to why I enjoy endurance sport, because it's something you can hyperfixate on, and you know, we're turning this into like a therapy session, but
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. So I'll take it a little bit a step further. I'm not gonna get into specifics, but like another thing with run clubs I've noticed is like who are you surrounding yourself in run clubs? The same type of people, addictive personalities, a lot of addicts, a lot of people are in recovery. And, I think that maybe that, I mean, like, I'm not going to say they're bad influences, but you are definitely are influenced by them. And I think that maybe, you see somebody like touting that they did Boston or something. So you want to get into that or whatever the case is. Like, I'm going to go run an ultra, yeah, I think that maybe there's no maybe bad. I'm sure that a lot of that kind of discussion, influenced me. Or like I see a friend that's ran like 300 races or something. Oh, I want to be that guy,
right.
whatever the case is. But then also on top of that, though, this is also a vulnerable community, and there's like, I feel like the sport's changed so much. I mean, there's a lot more corporate, entity out there involved with the sport, and you know, there's a lot of, I don't want to say shady. Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting characters out there. I think it's really easy to get caught up into it. So another reason maybe to run by yourself some or have a selected few. Just protect yourself a little bit better.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring up the sport has changed. Um, I was pacing a friend at the Javelina 100 on one of his laps, and as we were going, he goes, "Hey, there's Scott Jurek up there," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like total fanboy. I've read his books, and anyway, whatever. So I was like, I've got to at least talk to him, and I'm so not the guy that's like, hey, can we stop mid stride and take pictures? And that's not me. But I did at least want to visit with him, so I kind of ran up next to him and I just was like, "Hey, Scott." He's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" I introduced myself and I said, "Hey, I just want to let you know, your generation will always be the greatest ultra generation, in my opinion." And he's
Yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, why?" I go, "Because you guys were in it before the money was.
yeah,
You guys were in it just to do it." And now, and this, I'm not knocking these other athletes because they're incredible athletes and they're amazing. And I'm not saying that they're just driven by money, but something has changed within the sport. Maybe not the community itself, but the sport, where once the bigger corporate sponsors started to come in, it's just changed a little bit. The feel has changed a little bit, and you know, I look at those old guys, and I'm not much younger than, I mean, older than, they're not much older than me, rather. But those older guys like Scott, Dean Karnassus, all those older guys that have just did it when it was so weird and ultra was weird, and it was like, what are you doing? I know, actually my very first guest, a friend of mine, um, he did his first ultra when he was 15. His dad was doing ultras. I mean, and he's my age, so 43. How many years ago was that? Nobody was doing this stuff. And you should see these old pictures. They're carrying these bicycle handhelds, and they have like cotton t-shirts. It was just a ragtag bunch of people that got out and were like, we're going to do this, wild thing together. And again, I'm not knocking any of the new guys. Jim Walmsley's amazing. All these guys are next level, especially the women. The field of women is incredible. But there was something special when it was kind of weird. And I hate to
Right.
borrow that keep Seattle weird thing, but it's kind of like, let's keep ultra weird, let's keep it
That's where
obscure.
that's exactly where I was going to go with it. I mean, yeah, no knock on any of the elite athletes or any of the athletes for that matter. I mean, like all levels of the field. But yeah, the sport even in 2017, it was cooler than it is now. I don't mean to sound like it's over or anything like that, but it's definitely not what it once was. Even in 2017, I think COVID changed it a lot, and yeah, I think one of my biggest regrets is I didn't get into it sooner. I'm glad I got to experience it when I did, when I started. But yeah, I wish that I was in the, I started when I was younger, like you described, when it was a lot weirder. But even 2017, I would be running and there would be like a random dude next to me, like, oh, I'm on mushrooms or something funny like that. I'm like, wow, you wouldn't see it in the road running community, so it's like it's fun. It was like funny, but now like that dude's gone. Yeah, I mean, I feel like yeah, it's changed. But I'm trying to make the best of it, and yeah, I don't know, but
You
I
know
am.
what? I will say this, John. When I said the sport, I still have such a love for the community, the ultra people, because there's such still a core feeling of the ultra community where you don't find that anywhere else. And maybe that changes over time, but still the ultra community is so tight knit, and it, I just really, really enjoy seeing people at races, seeing people on the trail that I know. I've got a friend. We've never gone to dinner together, but we've probably spent, you know, not hundreds, so many hours together, pacing each other, crewing each other, and you have these great bonds with people that you get over the years, and that's amazing. It's not in the old Ironman community. It's not in the marathon community. It's definitely still the ultra community. But so for everybody to clarify, when I was referring to the sport changing, it feels like the top down when the corporate sponsors and the big money coming in, not the community up. It's definitely still there, the community, and I still really enjoy that aspect of it. But it's definitely like I think you're right. I think it is changing over the years.
I'll I think that it has changed. I mean, I not to I still love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the same. It's just not. It's just it's interesting to look at. I just think that after COVID, we just had a lot of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I loved running during COVID. I had a great time. I
Mhm.
was that weirdo in the field running a marathon just in the field. There was so much cool stuff going on, and I'm hoping at some point it'd be really cool if somebody were to write a book about people running during COVID. There was so much good stuff that came out from that. Like the running community really came together, and I think that's one of my biggest letdowns. I thought that, and maybe for a while, 2019 was my favorite year running, and then COVID it stunk, but we all rallied together. But I feel like it hasn't really been the same after that. It's just kind of I mean that's just me. I don't know. It's not the same.
Yeah, it was interesting what COVID did. Um, I think depending on where you lived, COVID was different for everybody. I know for me, I work remotely, and when COVID kicked off, the CEO of our company, he sent an email to each person and said, "Hey, I want to meet with you personally and just kind of see how you're doing." I mean, we didn't have thousands of people, but it was a couple hundred, so that's a huge task. Well, we got on the phone and he's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" I was like, "I'm great." He goes, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yeah." I'm like, and I told him, I was like, "Hey, I wanted you to understand we live in two separate places. Like, I don't live in a densely populated city. I I go out every day still and run and mountain bike, and I'm out in the trails all the time still." And he's like, "That's amazing. You got to keep that up." And he didn't, break HR and tell me names, but he was like, there's a lot of people that are struggling right now.
Yeah.
And I had a client at that time. He lived in Boston, like in the city. And I was talking to him and he was kind of sad. And I said, what's the matter? I won't use his name, but I was like, what's the matter? He's like, oh, I'm just getting really depressed. And I said, oh, because I'm stupid. I'm like just living in my own world. I'm like, well, what's going on? He's like, I haven't been out of my house in a couple months. And I was like, you haven't been out of your house? He's like, well, I'll go out to, take a walk once in a while. But no, I have my groceries delivered. I have everything delivered. And I just think, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Like you have had no connection with anybody for that whole time. That's got to be really depressing. And I just came away from that conversation really grateful of where I lived and how lucky I was to still be able to get out. I wasn't breathing in anyone's faces, but you're out in the trail, right? You may pass somebody once in a blue moon, but you're not, super spreader event with, thousands of people on the trail or anything. You're still out getting out. And I just think that was a really kind of dark side of COVID, what happened to a lot of people feeling like they had to, stay at home or they are in a big city in a huge apartment complex and they really can't be out and about. So I felt very fortunate in that respect. But the running was interesting because it almost exploded because everyone had all this time on their hands. And, I'm not going to name any race names, but races were still happening.
That was the weirdest thing about it, because like here in Virginia, I mean, when we went in lockdown, we had a race happen like the weekend it happened basically, and my family was like, we don't have vaccines yet, and like so like I begrudgingly didn't go to like a race that was about to happen. Like I got into it with the race director. We're kind of cool now, but like yeah, there was some of that stuff, and then I had a couple races like cancel like right like the weekend of. It was tough. Like that part messed me up, and that but like yeah, like you're saying like. I would wake up early. I had a stretch where I ran like a 50K every day, or like yeah, just like these crazy miles. I think for 2020 I ran like over 5,000 miles. I mean, not
Wow.
when I say run, I mean like not like super fast or anything like that, but it was awesome. I hung out with my daughter so much. Like we watched Scooby Doo. We played all kinds of board games. I read to her all the time. It was awesome. But what has bummed me out, I think, is like what happened with her public school after it got really tough for her. Like they had her like on a computer for 8 hours a day and stuff like that. So like I have her in private school now, and she's gonna. I think she's got a really good year this year. But yeah, her school got really tough after during COVID and stuff like that. But it's tough, and it's been tough on me too. Again with scheduling and stuff like that, making it all work. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's
No,
really hard balancing.
no, it's interesting because I haven't actually sat and chatted with someone and kind of revisited that experience that we all went through. And like I said, my experience was definitely different than everybody else, just because of wherever you lived, right? Every state did it differently. Every county did it differently. Every school did it differently.
Well,
And so it's just, I haven't really sat back and had these memories come back to my mind, but I remember, I remember the race I had right as COVID was kind of taking off and everybody was kind of starting to become aware of it. I showed up to one of the aid stations and I went to grab one of the bottles to fill it up. And he goes, oh, wait. I was like, oh, what? Okay. And it kind of took me back because that's never happened before. And he goes, we have new rules now because of the virus. I have to pour it for you. And he was wearing gloves and the whole thing. And that's such a little thing, but I just went, oh, things are changing. Oh, okay, that's fine. And I held it, and it was fine. And we were both cordial to each other. But I went away from that aid station going, oh, this will change things. Okay, well, and obviously it did. But
well, it's funny. We're back now to like the guy putting like the lube all over his butt, and now like digging in the M&Ms. We're back to that. Yeah, we're back.
We're back to the immunity building group that we are.
Those gummy bears that were out sitting around for like 10 hours, you're good. Just
Yeah.
melting they all melted together. When you pick them up, they're all together. Yeah, we're back to that now.
That's so funny. It's so true, though.
You know what's funny though? Like, so like, did you do the great virtual race across Tennessee that Laz did that he put on during 2020?
No.
So that between that and the Jordan doc, that kept me super motivated because like the Jordan doc was on, I'd watch that at night, but then like during the day, we had like elite runners doing it because they had no other races either. Like Harvey
Yeah.
Lewis, I was like, I'm gonna catch up to Harvey Lewis. I got this guy. So like that was one thing I thought was cool that people like him participated. So like at least you had something to shoot for. I mean like
Yeah.
your all your races got canceled. It was really cool for them to play along, and then for Laz to do that also. I mean that's like all we had. I mean and they I think like it was really cool how we came together in that regard because even though there wasn't races, I was still captivated by that. Like I had a big spreadsheet. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this today. And I remember one day I was running, I was like gonna call it quits. Like I was like, I'm only gonna do like 25 miles today. I'm not gonna do the extra loop. But then I was like, what would Jordan do? Because I was watching the Jordan doc. I was like, what would Jordan do? I was like, I can catch up to Harvey if I do this. It was so funny. And like it was like a weird time that like I'll always look back on fondly just because like it's such a weird situation, like why would I even be in this situation where I'd actually like a virtual race and an elite runner would be doing it also because he doesn't have any races either.
Yep.
And yeah, basically, and we had the Michael Jordan doc on at the same time. It was amazing. It was a good time.
That's funny you see that because I remember some wild documentaries came out, and obviously
Yeah,
it wasn't planned, but came out like Tiger King came out at that
yeah,
time.
yeah.
The Michael Jordan one you mentioned. I mean, there was some really solid TV that
Um,
came out.
what's his name? The Lance Armstrong one I think came out also. There
Yes.
was yeah, they were just they were cranking him out because like after the Jordan doc, we were all thirsty for him, and they were just like, all
Yeah.
right, just keep on going. I don't think documentaries are doing as well as they used to. At least sports docs. I mean, because for a while after COVID, we just ate those up. We were just like, just whatever you have, just put it out there.
Yeah, I remember my friend texted me. He's like, "Dude, you have to watch Tiger King." And I was like, well, "Why?" He goes, "Just watch it." And I remember the first episode. I was like, "Oh man, this is such gold TV right here."
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. So like, I did not watch Tiger King. I have not watched it yet.
Oh,
Um,
dude.
well, also like I know Squid Game was really big during the
Yeah. Oh, that's
pandemic.
the other one. That's the other one I was thinking of. That one was huge.
So I didn't watch Squid Game when it came out. I watched it like 2 years after, like because this is gonna sound funny. I told you I live on a farm. We can't really stream very well. Like I was lucky on cable to be able to watch the Jordan doc. I would like record it on like the recording device that I had, but yeah, I didn't have Netflix or anything like that. But I still made it work. And I mean like I'm kind of a film nerd. Like I believe in physical media. I have a bunch of DVDs and stuff like that. I don't care. I'll never throw my DVD player away. Whatever. So I have those. And yeah, I kept myself entertained with that stuff. But I just went all in on sports docs and just at one point when the first sport that came back, if I'm correct, is Korean baseball. As soon as
Ugh.
ESPN started showing that, I was like, "We're back! Yes, oh, something, yes."
We're just dying to watch anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Well, you say that about physical movies. Christopher Nolan was quoted recently saying that everybody should hoard their hard copy movies. So you're
yeah.
onto something.
No, I mean like yeah, I will never throw this away. It's funny you mentioned Christopher Nolan. I just watched Interstellar the other night. Didn't watch it the first time, but I have a daughter now and stuff like that, and kind of got kind of got me. Kind of
Dude,
got me.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that I watched it on
that's a
the
deep movie.
plane.
I regret not liking it before.
Yeah, I watched that on a flight coming home from I think it was Oregon, and being a father now watching it, I'm like, oh, this is sad.
Yeah, so like I didn't really get it with because like before the first time I watched it, it just didn't click. Like like if I can't read. I think I just had my daughter, or like it was like when she was like about to be born. Like it just didn't click at the time. But my daughter's 11 now. It almost like plays like a Spielberg movie. Like it kind of like like that's kind of there. It's not. It doesn't even feel like a Nolan movie. It just feels like he was going for something more like Spielberg like with like the family aspect and just that kind of like the love element and maybe that I just didn't get that at the time. But yeah, watching it now as a 45-year-old. Wow, that's
Yeah.
that's a good movie.
So
Yeah.
another one, if you haven't watched it recently, that pulled at my heartstrings in a completely different way, is Sixth Sense.
Oh, I see. I saw that recently. Yeah, I did.
And I rewatched, my wife and I rewatched it, and I was like, I was so sad for that poor kid. I was so like, because I put myself in the parent's situation. You're like, my poor kid is going through this incredibly terrible thing. I don't know. It just, as you grow up, it's funny how you rewatch something or revisit something and you go, you see it through a whole different perspective.
Yeah, I think like I can't. It's hard for me to watch anything like that because like I think like when I have my daughter, and watch like a lot of cartoons and stuff with her over the years, like I just like I have to have like really like again sports docs. I have to have like really inspirational stuff. Like I can't do depressive stuff. Even the music I listen to, like I can't listen to like stuff I listened to when I was in the '90s, just because. Yeah, I have to be up tempo all the time, basically, because I mean, this is a tough world right now. It is, and like you can get caught up in it really quick. So yeah, for me, I like '80s hilarious '80s action movies. Just up tempo stuff, heavy metal. Like it's if I end up watching something like Interstellar, it's just because like I love movies and people have like got me to like go back and rewatch, but like I don't normally revisit stuff like that because it's too deep, man. Like it's just too much stuff going on right now. I got to keep it simple for me and just keep it motivational.
I love it. No, I agree with you. It's tough, and I think that I think everybody's going through that toughness in their own way right now. And I know for me, you know, getting out there and working, working out, if it's on the trail, if it's at the gym, it's like a little breath of fresh air, right? And then I come to work and it just, you get bombarded by stuff, and then it's family stuff, and the family stuff's not bad. It's a part of life, but man, that alone time, hard to come by, yes,
Yeah.
but that alone time is so crucial, I think, for people. And I think people who aren't taking advantage of that, it's a real game changer. If you can just find some consistency in that, in getting out. And what I know, this is all around ultra, but I mean, with anything, even just for a walk. I had a guest the other day. Um, he wanted to lose weight, and so he said to himself, I'm not going to create any radical changes like some radical diet or radical fitness plan right off the bat. He said, what I did was I made a goal to get outside every day. And he said get outside, literally, I would just go stand outside. And then I would realize, well, I just can't stand here. So it'd start to move around. And he started to move around. And well, now he's doing crazy ultras. But it's this idea that you're just getting out and you're having a moment to yourself where you can actually spend time thinking, getting some clarity. I think that's so crucial right now. I mean,
Well,
it's always crucial, but
I mean,
especially with everything going on in the world.
you, going back to kind of how we started this conversation, the people that motivate me right now are like people just getting in. It could be from starting from weight loss, but like when it hits and you start getting that motivation, like I can see that in people, I'm like, I wish I had that. Like like I wish I had what they have because honestly, like it doesn't matter if you're like a little bit like out of shape, like when you first start to get into that and like you start signing up for your races and stuff like that, because that stuff's all going to change because you're going to be so motivated. You're going to run that stuff off and get yourself into like a different level of shape because like you have it in your mind. But like once you start getting injured, I mean, like if, I spent so many weeks just not being able to run at all. And so, like, yeah, I mean, like, for anybody just getting into it, think about that, definitely. And, yeah, I mean, like, it's so fascinating thing of the life cycle of, like, a ultra runner, or just, like, a runner or anybody in general. It's, like, like, I love just hearing about people, like, yeah, like, you're just standing, you just go outside and you start just standing there, and then you start, like, walking, and then, you might run like start with 5Ks. That's kind of how I did it. Like I just
Hmm.
kind of like went real easy. Like when my daughter was born, I think I was like 225 pounds, and like I only it's so weird. Like when I think back to how I like got to doing ultras from that, I don't even know how I did that. Like I think it's just like like I said, a mixture of just trying to outrun mental stuff, divorce, cutting back alcohol. But yeah, like once you're able to get in that zone, I mean, it's so incredible what you can do. I mean, like, yeah, and it's so weird too. A lot of people think, oh, I'll never be able to run a marathon. I'll never be able to do that. But like, once it clicks together, I mean, it's amazing what humans can do. It's amazing.
Yeah, I had a almost confrontational interaction with somebody where I just kind of backed off because they were like, I, they said something about an ultra I was training for, and they're like, I wish I could do that. And I said, oh, you definitely could. They're like, no, 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 no. And I was like, no, really, you really could. I promise you, I don't have anything special inside. I'm just a human. What everyone, all these people who are doing these big ultras, they're just people, and they've just dedicated their life to do it. There's a gentleman on Instagram right now. I don't know if you've come across him. He's doing what he calls couch to Cocodona.
I've seen him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I
I
follow him. Yeah, he's
love
awesome.
that guy.
Yeah, he's great.
I'm always like IMing him and be like, dude, I love you. Keep it up. This is awesome. I love seeing that because you would look at him and think, oh, he's not active, and that's just a human thing. And you're not. I'm not saying that to denigrate him at all, because I really look up to him.
Hmm.
But I almost want to take that guy's Instagram and show it to that person and go, look, you can. Anybody can do this. Now, is it going to be a different runway? Is it going to look different in every case? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, what we're all doing is not some special serum that you take every morning or whatever. It's just moving. And then moving turns into running, and then it turns into a 5K, and then a 10, and then it just keeps compounding. Um, and then you lose the eye of the tiger. It's Rocky 3. And then you got to get it back. But
That's the hard part. You know what's
yeah,
funny? You just touched on like I so one thing I love about ultra runners, it doesn't matter your body shape. Like that's one thing
no,
that's so cool. Yeah, like it's so I find bodies really fascinating, man. Just because like especially like everybody you see out there, like like I learned really quickly never judge anybody out there. I
no,
mean like I've gotten smoked by like younger people, older people, heavier people. It doesn't matter. Like if you have to, it's all about your technique pretty much. And like I don't understand how some people do the stuff they do out there, especially on like the technical terrain and stuff like that. Like, I don't get it, but it's one really cool aspect of ultras, like that people can do that of all different all different body types, all different ages. It's amazing. Like that's one thing I tell people all the time. Like, you know, don't count yourself out. I mean, you don't know what you
yeah,
can do out there until you try it. Just like just try it.
no, 100%. I mean, I've been beat by more old ladies. Like I'm dying on a climb, and I just hear someone behind me, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to visit with someone for a minute, and then she just blows past me, and I'm like, that's where we're at right now. That's
Well, well then
it's
also
amazing to me.
also and on top of that, like this is a humbling sport too. Like so, like once you start getting injured and stuff like that, like you know, you can't think about past performance, and you can't get
Yeah,
mad if somebody beats you if you're injured. Like if you're putting yourself out there, you gotta have thick skin, and you gotta be like, hey, I'm out here. They beat me. Good for them. You have to be able to appreciate others when they're doing well, and apply all your lessons learned to your training and the workouts and stuff like that. And if you're getting smoked in races too, like after that much experience, why you got there, and you probably deserve it because you didn't do the core, you didn't do the PT, you didn't do anything
yeah,
you're supposed to do. So yeah, you deserve to get smoked every once in a while, and that's why I like it. I mean, you're pretty much if you overdo it, that's what's going to happen. If you underdo it, that's not good either. You are your work. If it's too much,
yeah,
too little, whatever the case is, it's gonna, you're gonna get that result. That's why I like running. It's super humbling, and it's very it's a fair sport. I know there's nothing fair in life, but I mean, it's pretty much what you put into it when it comes to running.
yeah. There was a guy that I follow on Instagram, and he was wearing a shirt, and I just like saw it, and I had to buy it, because it said on the back, "You can never cheat the mountain."
Yeah,
And it's just such an equalizer.
it is.
Like you can be putting up all this stuff and talk all this big talk. The second you get on the mountain, though, everyone knows you're. It's like the emperor without clothes. Like there's nothing. You're not hiding anything. You're if you're struggling, like if you're struggling on the climb, like you know why you didn't train on climbing.
Yep.
If you are struggling with diet and eating, it's like, well, did you train right with, training with what you're eating and all that good stuff? It all comes out. So I totally agree with you. It's the great equalizer.
It is, and yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing I struggle on a lot is, especially just being a single dad with my daughter. I have to run on the road a lot, and yeah, when I have to go out and do technical terrain, get my ass kicked. It
Yeah.
happens, but like the cool thing, I think if you're stubborn and if you want to get it done, I mean, you can get it done. It might take you a long time. I've done some races where, oh my god, like I. I've been last. I've been all over the place. Like I've won some races. I've been in the middle of the pack. I've been in the back of the pack. I'm all over the place. But again, yeah, you really can't get mad at what you put into your training. You can't get mad. I mean, what happens is a direct reflection of your training, and yeah, you're not gonna be surprised. You're like, hey, I wasn't able to run this technical terrain that much. I was running on the road. Yeah.
Yeah. And it also speaks back to that. The check always comes up, whatever you haven't worked on, whether it's that PT and core that we alluded to earlier, and it's going to catch up to you.
Hmm.
It's the same thing with the training. You're going to have to cash that check, and if you go to cash it on the trail with stuff you haven't worked on, it bounces pretty hard, and you go, oh well. And when you're out there, your deficiencies,
Yeah.
and so when they come out, you're really not surprised. You may get frustrated, but you're like, I'm not surprised this climb is killing me because I have had like 2,000 feet of climb in the last 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
It just comes out and you say, oh, well, duh.
I did a race last weekend, and I think it was more vert than I did almost all year.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, I don't know how much vert I've had this year. I'd have to go and look at that, but this race I did last week, it was not like I think like 9,000 feet of vert or somewhere around there in the course of 29 miles, and yeah, primarily everything I've been running on was this road. I did a couple 50Ks, some technical ones, but this year I think I've only done like 3 or 4 ultras, and then I DNF Burning River at mile 50. So I mean I did go 50 miles on that, but yeah, I mean like I'm still sore from that. So like I know I've got work to do, but it's so funny coming when you come back from an injury like that, and like you're lacking on that stuff because like it's time. You need time
Hmm.
to get that stuff in, and when you're trying to rush it, DNFs are definitely going to happen. But
Yeah,
yeah.
they do happen. And, I don't know about you, but the ones I have, well, the one I had, I took it pretty hard, but, I saw it for what it was, and you just move on. But they're still difficult. They're still tough to go through.
They suck. If you look at my ultra sign up, you'll see I have a lot, but I don't feel that bad because if you look at the volume of races I've done, it was a
Hmm.
lot, and you can trace it back to that. I mean, I'm not one of those type of people that will DNF a race if I'm not doing well. Usually, if I DNF a race, it's because like I'm like walking like a 30-minute mile, and in some cases with that, I mean, you'll still finish, but if I ever get to a point in a race where like I'm spent and I know it's going to have like it's going to have further repercussions if I actually finish it somehow. And that probably the thing I try to avoid the most is like if I know I'm going to DNF anyway, stop early on so you don't get to like mile 90 in DNF. I've done races where I get to 85 and had a DNF anyway, and I was like it really messed me up for like weeks, months after
Yeah.
that. So if you know that you're going to have to, there's no shame in that. I mean, just, wave the white flag and fight another day. That's how I think that's a smart approach to it, especially if you're doing a lot of races. Now, if you're only doing a couple a year, like a 1 or 200 miles a year, you should plan for that. But I've never been that, as we discussed earlier, I've never been good at, being, I've never been good at moderation. I've always been, yeah, I've always been a fan of just going all out. And as I get older, hopefully I can get better at that. But yeah,
Well, John, I'll have to say this has been a really fun conversation. It's been unlike any conversation I've had so far with guests. I like how we've gone all over the place from movies to, you
we
know,
talked about Interstellar.
yeah. But I like it. It's cool. I like the way the conversation was very real, especially about why we're doing what we're doing, and being honest and open about, hey, you're probably fighting something, and that's okay. But I really want to thank you. for your time. I know it's really late for you, so I'm so extremely grateful that you made time for this. And as something I do for my guests to thank them is I send them a gift from Death March Running Company. So offline, I'll get your information. I'll get that sent out to you. But it's just a way to say thank you. I mean, I know it's late again, and you've had a huge day, and you gave me an hour of your time, so I just really appreciate it.
No,
Um,
I
anything you want to wrap it up with?
No, I enjoyed talking with you. Like I said, as you heard from me talking, I'm kind of down on running in like in ways the ultra community too. But talking to you, like it helps me out, and I'm going through a period where like with the injury and just stuff going on in my personal life, it's just it's gonna take some time for it to feel more normal again. But this was a positive conversation. You helped me out through some stuff, so I really appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. And if I used to live in Virginia a long, long time ago, and I'd like to start doing some races on the East Coast. So if I come out that way, I'll definitely give you a shout.
Yeah, man, dude, we have so many races here, so many free races also on top of that. But yeah, come pick a race and come through, man.
I'd love to. Yeah, and vice versa. If you come out west, I'd love to show you around. It'll look a
Dude,
lot different, but
dude, I would love to come out west. The only time I went to help crew a friend at Western States in
um,
2019. So that's how long it's been since I did any kind of trail on the West Coast. So I would love to do it. I wouldn't even know what to do with it, man, because I'm such an East Coaster. I wouldn't even know, man.
yeah, I have a trail friend that I've known for many years, and she lives in the DC area, and that she comes out and to the west, and I don't know. It's just the United States is so geographically different all over the place. That's kind of why I'd like to get out east a little bit and do some stuff because I love it out here in the desert, and then I love it in the northwest. Northwest. But the East Coast, there's so many cool things out there that I'd like to take advantage of. So
Well,
maybe someday.
I'm tired of it. I'll trade you, man. I need to come out to the desert. I gotta
Do
get
it.
out there.
Hey, today was 114 and gross and ugly and brown, but in the mornings it's gorgeous. It's just beautiful in the mornings. But
Yeah,
I'll let you go, John. This has been so much fun. And yeah, we'll connect offline. I'll get your address and get that sent out to you.
absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome. Thanks, John.